On February 25, 2022, Russian forces attacked Ukraine from all sides. Russian President Vladimir Putin told the world that, if anyone tries to meddle in this matter, then consequences will be severe. Russian helicopters and fighter jets were seen flying low over many cities in Ukraine, and firing rockets in some instances. And among them, Putin's main target was the Ukrainian capital Kyiv. In this unexpected attack where several hundred people lost their lives. At the same time, millions of Ukrainians were forced to leave their homes. To save lives, many people hid in the basements, and few considered metro stations to be the safe place. Suddenly, every nook and corner of Ukraine reverberated with the sounds explosion ideology. A Cold War started between these two powers. Although weapons and force were not used in this war, but secretly, Soviet Union and American powers continued to attack each other politically. Situation intensified so much that both the powers had to strengthen their military alliance further. In 1949, the countries supporting America created North Atlantic Treaty Organizations, NATO, in which it was decided that if any NATO country is attacked, then all other NATO members will defend it together. The formation of NATO was dangerous in every way for the Soviet Union, because if all the NATO countries can defend each other, then all of them can also attack the Soviet Union together. When the Soviet Union realized NATO's power, then they signed a similar pact among themselves, which was named as Warsaw Pact, even though these two powers had formed organizations to save each other. But secretly the Cold War still alive, because after all, there was such a big difference in their ideology. For the entire 42 years, this Cold War continued like this, in which the goal of both the powers were to weaken each other. And finally, one side became weak. In 1991, republics like Ukraine made the decision to separate themselves from the Soviet Union. The different member republics of USSR now wanted to become independent countries. Soviet Union, formed by combining 15 republics, was now divided into 15 different independent countries. And with this, the Warsaw Pact signed by them become dysfunctional. Ukraine finally managed to become an independent country once again. Countries that gained independence from the Soviet Union could now take their own decisions. So first of all, they overthrow the communist government imposed on them. Russia, which was earlier strong because of the Soviet Union, was now weakling in the eyes of the world. Despite the end of the Cold War, the alliance of Western powers did not budge. Rather, their power only increased. Poland and the Czech Republic and Hungary, these three countries that gained independence from the Soviet Union, turned the tide and joined to NATO in 1999. The trend of joining NATO increased day by day, and in 2004 7 more countries also joined NATO. That is, the republics which were earlier supporting Russia were now become a part of NATO's alliance. And this was first time when Russia's borders came in direct contact with NATO. Now only 3 countries were left which did not join NATO: Belarus, Ukraine, and Georgia. Among them, Ukraine and Georgia have long wanted to join NATO, but Russia could not tolerate this. At the same time, Russia sensed the danger that if these 2 countries also joined NATO, then its access to the Black Sea could be stopped at any time. Viewers, let us tell you here that after the US and Saudi Arabia, Russia is the 3rd biggest producer of oil and gas, and exports it to the international market through the Black Sea. And this was the reason why Russia was opposing Ukraine and Georgia's joining NATO. But Ukraine's desire to join NATO still continued. Not only that, but in 2013 Ukraine also expressed its desire to join the European Union. Remember that, at this time, the president of Ukraine was Petro Poroshenko, who was considered a friend of Russia and quite corrupt. When the time came to sign the deal with the European Union, the president of Ukraine took a huge amount from Russia in the name of a bailout package, and refused to sign the deal with the European Union by saying that Ukraine will support Russia in every matter. It would not be wrong to say that Russia bribed the Ukrainian president for not joining the European Union. When this news hit the media, thousands of protesters came out on the streets in Ukraine and demanding Ukraine to be a part of the European Union. The pressure of the protesters increased day by day, and finally the Ukrainian president started crackdown on them, in which more than 100 people were killed. Seeing this, the protesters became more violent, and the matter reached such an extent that the Ukrainian president had to leave his post and flee Russia. Fleeing of the president was a victory to the protesters. At the same time, Putin was considering it as his defeat. So now Putin started using power. First, the Russian army occupied the Ukrainian-controlled peninsula, spanning the Black Sea. After that, with the help of separatists, they captured 2 areas of Ukraine bordering Russia, Donetsk and Luhansk. Russia greatly helped the separatist group, who demanded the separation of these 2 regions from Ukraine. A lot of blood was shed in both these regions for the whole 8 years, in which more than 14,000 people lost their lives, while 2 million Ukrainians were forced to leave these regions. Actually, separation of Donetsk suffer a lot, and perhaps Putin can be restrained by doing this. Hope you have understood to a great extent this issue between Russia and Ukraine. Do post your comment about this special video of Zen. We'll see you again in the next awesome video.